I thought I would try to get this video. We'll see if we can. I released his shoulder, both shoulders already, and got some huge movement on his shoulders. But then I was getting ready to do his hip, and I thought, well, I'll go ahead and record this, because I didn't record the shoulders. So I just released his tail and got really good movement out of his tail. So now what I'm going to do is I found the scar tissue that I need to, let me find it again. There we go. We get it kind of up high in the flank area. Make sure, there it is right there. Okay, good, I got it. So I have the scar tissue located now that is controlling how far he can reach up. Ooh, there it goes. It's pulsating with energy right in my fingers right now because I'm shorting the energy out because I've located it. And I have put my fingers on there and displaced the energy. So I'm going to keep pressure on it. Not a lot, I just keep a little bit of pressure on it. If he wants to move, that's okay. There, it's releasing a little bit. Ooh, that's a big, thick one too. This was really harboring his thrust forward and how far he could stretch. Because he's a tall gelding. He's probably 16'1". And this probably limits his stretch and reach. Stretch. That's a new word. Stretch. Stretch and reach all in one. There it goes. That's triggering. When I say triggering, I mean the energy is like, feels like it's shocking, like pulsating energy in the tips of my fingers where I'm dissipating the energy in the nerve. There it goes. It's getting a little bit less. It's a big, thick one, so it takes a little bit more time. There, it's starting to kind of dissipate. I've never done one of these, so it'll be interesting to see how he does once it is relieved. My camera's still going. Got quite a windstorm up here. Actually, it's not bad. Keeps it kind of nice. Okay, so it's about ready to release. Ooh, there's a lot of scar tissue up top here. Wow. Whew. I'm going to release all that scar tissue up there, up along that. There is a lot of it too. This really, really, really hinders his reach and stretch and how far he can actually. There, I felt a pop. Good. Good. There was a pop and a release. I go back up. That feels better. It's still a little tight, but that tight, there's like a big strand. There's another one right there that I just found. Kind of like a big strand that sticks out. That's scar tissue. You can actually, there's a way to trigger it to release. There, it just popped. Boom, boom, boom. Wow, that was really cool. If you could have just felt what I felt in my hands, that was absolutely amazing. I just triggered that scar tissue. It was a big, strong, stood out like almost like a ligament stood out. And I just triggered it to release. And it released, and it popped, and now it dissipated completely. There it goes. There's the end of it right there. I'm going to stretch that out, see how he reacts to that. I've got it up in his groin area. Look at his tail goes up. Oh, isn't this interesting? Isn't this interesting? He's trying, what? How interesting is this? I'm glad I have this on video. His tail went up. As soon as I went up to relieve that scar tissue, oh, right there. more time and then give him a little break. That's why I say go one time and give him a little break, because he's getting tired. There we go. Good boy. There. So I quit him right now with his head down, his foot was cocked, his tail was relaxed. When you can quit an animal for a session when they're like that, compared to anything else, like if I had kept pushing him and seeing if I could get more and more and more, like a lot of people do, then I would have pushed him past the point of being able to come back and have him like this when I go to catch him. Otherwise, he's going to be irritated when I go to catch him, because we ended on an irritated note. But if you can learn to really read your horses and always end your session, no matter what session it is, because even you going out and catching your horse, you are a trainer. How you catch your horse and how your horse respects you says everything about you and your horse's relationship. Does that horse respect you, or does that horse run all over the top of you? Does that horse run to you, or does that horse run away from you? You have to remember, horses are on the pecking order. That's what they live on, is the pecking order. That's all they know. And you are just somebody in the whole pecking order. Like this horse right here, let's say he's number one on the pecking order of, say, 3 or 4 horses. So then guess what? You have to go above him and get kind of assertive with him. Where if he is a horse that, say, is number 3 or 4 out of 4 horses or 3 horses, then he's going to be really timid. Then you do very light cues and be very sensitive with him, because he is going to be more receptive to what you're asking, because he's been used to being pushed around and everything. So he's going to be more passive. So the ones that are on the higher pecking order can be more aggressive, where the ones on the lower pecking order will be more passive. So you really have to understand kind of what you're dealing with as far as a horse that has been in a herd with other horses, where they stand. Are they always challenging you in one way, shape, form, or another? Then they're going to be higher up on the pecking order. Are they one that you can't really get after very much, or very easy because they're very sensitive? Maybe they're going to be a little lower in the pecking order, so you can lessen your cues. Don't make them so strong. Learn how to work with your horse. That way, when I put him away, this is his first session for the day. I still got one more session with him. I released both front shoulders, more of his neck, a lot of his neck and jowl, his wither. See, look at how rounded it is now. I'm absolutely blown away. That thing was like flat. Where that white spot is, it was like flat. And then I did a huge trigger release. That was interesting when he went to lay down, because that was a huge trigger release on his hip that we did. And you got to remember, those horses are so big that when they go to push out of a barrel, if their scar tissue that is caught right here, because that's where I'm getting, is right on the side here, and that right there is connected to that hip also. So when they go to push out, they can't push out very good without any pain. But when they push out max to get out of a barrel, then they're pushing that scar tissue to the max. And when you push that scar tissue to the max, it hurts. And so some of those horses will get to where they'll shortchange you at barrels. They'll start ducking, diving, doing all kinds of things, blowing out, raring at the gate, not even wanting to get in the trailer. They won't let you catch them. I mean, there's lots of different excuses why they just don't want to run anymore, because, I mean, like this horse right here, they could have just started legging that horse up and get on and start running. And he probably performed pretty good. But by getting him unlocked in his front end, because he's hit a few barrels in his life, so getting all that scar tissue relieved, and the technique that I do, you do it each scar tissue individually by a certain technique, and knowing where those scar tissues are that you need to get, that are the main ones. you get the main ones, everything else just dissipates on its own. So I trigger released the main spots on both shoulders, so that way tomorrow when I come and do tomorrow's session, that shoulder is going to be more freed up. So that way, instead of having not much to be able to reach out, without having any much pain, that horse will be able to reach out more and stretch out like a 2-year-old colt on the track, But he's not been able to because he's been jammed up, over his withers, back, and then in his neck area, he was jammed up in his neck area, and then through his jowl area too, and then a ton of scar tissue up underneath that area right there. So yeah, so if you've got any kind of thing where you need a horse that needs to eject out of a barrel, eject out of anything, that's going to put a lot of pressure on that scar tissue, and it's going to hinder their movement just a little bit. They can give you 100%, but they're going to probably try to kill themselves trying to do it. So I'm excited to see what this guy is going to look like in his next session. I'm gonna release his other side of his hip, and then finish this side, and then see what else we can find. So join me. Hopefully it's not too windy. It is Texas. Have a nice day, y'all.